Hi, Founder fans. Jason here, and today's founder is James Schureman, a delegate to the Annapolis Convention and a veteran of the American Revolutionary War. Now, James Schureman had just graduated from Queens College, which we now know as Rutgers University, when the Revolutionary War breaks out, and as such, he goes back to his home in New Jersey and puts together a military outfit and joins the Continental Army, and he arrives just in time for the Battle of Long Island, also known as the Battle of Brooklyn, which becomes kind of a disaster for the Patriots. Now, in this battle, Sherman is taken prisoner, and he spends 8 months as a prisoner of war until he eventually is able to make his escape. Now, he leaves and rejoins the Continental Army, but at this time he also starts a mercantile firm in New Jersey. He was a young man and did have to start his life as well as fighting in the war. Now, he doesn't have much of note in the war from this point, especially because he ends up leaving not too long afterwards because he's elected to the New Jersey Assembly, and many officers in the Continental Army did take their roles. If their people elected them to a position, they would go do that because they were being asked by their community. It's what they considered virtuous. So Sherman does just this. He serves for a few years before being sent to the Continental Congress. He's in the Continental Congress for a while, and he's one of these many young men who take over the Continental Congress in the early 1780s and realize it's not going well under the Articles of Confederation. This is about when the Annapolis Convention is called in 1786, and this is a really important event that's often overlooked in study of the American Revolution. It was a year before the Constitutional Convention was called, but it was brought together in an attempt to fix some of the economic issues being faced by these not-so-united states under the Articles of Confederation. Sherman, being sent from New Jersey, is one of the people who arrived. Now, only 12 people from 5 states arrive, and the end result of the Annapolis Convention is a letter sent to the Continental Congress saying we need to officially have all the states come to really resolve some of these problems. Now, of course, the Constitutional Convention the following year would take a lot of steps further than just remedying some of the economic problems with the Articles of Confederation. That being said, New Jersey sends Sherman and the rest of the delegation with a little bit more instructions than everyone else. The other people were sent with their instructions to do a little bit of economic fixing. And again, at the time, people were very attached to the instructions their state sent. They didn't feel themselves as independent ambassadors. They were very specifically supposed to stick to what their states told them. But interestingly, I have a quote here from New Jersey's instructions to its delegates. And I'm going to say what they were allowed to do. It was, quote, consider how far an uniform system in their commercial regulations and other important matters might be necessary to the common interest and pertinent harmony of several states. So this, end quote. So this is important because, they were sent for commercial regulations as everyone else was. But the part that says other important matters. Essentially, New Jersey was allowed to make whatever recommendation they thought could heal the Union as a whole now that the Revolutionary War was over and we're starting to see some of the problems under the Articles of Confederation. Now, again, this all-important matters part at the Constitutional Convention, many other states would be able to take a lot more liberal decisions in what they did. Some were not. For example, New York. One of the reasons most of New York's delegation leaves the Constitutional Convention is their instructions did not give them that right. Anyway, as for Sherman, he unfortunately is not sent to the Constitutional Convention for him. But after the Constitution is ratified, Sherman actually is elected as an inaugural member of the United States House of Representatives. And he sits in the first Congress for several years before filling a vacancy in the United States Senate. After this, though, he goes back to New Jersey and has a wide variety of fairly important roles in the New Jersey government, and he returns to his hometown of New Brunswick, where over the course of the next 30 years, he'd spend 17 non-consecutive years as mayor of New Brunswick. So maybe not the top layer of government official in the nation, but certainly arguably the most important person in New Brunswick. So that's a little bit about James Sherman, a delegate to the Annapolis Convention. Again, one of the most important and overlooked meetings of the American Revolution. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do me a favor and hit like so more people find out about the channel and we can learn with more people about the American Revolution together. And if you're new here, subscribe. I put out videos like this 7 days a week, plus we do a whole bunch of fun live ones at night. You'll love it. I'm Jason, and I'll be back with another founder for you tomorrow.